Well, hello there. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our video on how to get into Berkeley Haas. And to tell us, we have a spectacular guest. Her name is Sharon Joyce. She had been an associate director of admissions at Berkeley Haas and has over 30 years of admissions experience. Incidentally, she has over 70 five-star reviews in Poets and Quants, and she is with Fortuna Admissions, which, as you know, has the dream team of former admissions officials from the top business schools in the world. Fortuna has helped thousands of Poets and Quants readers gain a spot at their dream MBA program. Sharon, welcome.
Hey, John, so great to be with you today.
Now, what makes Berkeley Haas stand out among the top MBA programs? I've spent a lot of time at the school. I love it. I love the campus. I love the atmosphere of Berkeley. You tell me what stands out.
I would have to say the Defining Leadership Principles, which are celebrating 15 years under the former leadership of Dean Rich Lyons, who is now the chancellor of UC Berkeley. Pretty exciting. It's just, I think, a call to action for the students, for the faculty, and for the staff of what tenets they hold dear. You know, the beyond yourself, student always, question the status quo, beyond yourself. I mean, these are things that are codified within the school. I think it's something that is very representational of not only what admissions is looking for in prospective students, but just how the students walk through the program. It's codified in the different student activities. It's part of career services, and it's how they want alumni to walk through the world as well. And so I think that definitely the defining leadership principles are very dear to the community. I also think, you know, just the proximity to Silicon Valley. I think it's the innovation that comes out of Berkeley.
True.
So many opportunities within the campus. Right now, Skydeck is a partnership for accelerating startup ideas within Berkeley Haas in collaboration with the School of Engineering, as well as with the Vice Chancellor's Office for Research. So I just think that there's so much energy at the school as well. And also, you know, Haas is one of the smaller programs. And so, you know, usually hovering around 300 students, it really sets up this intimate atmosphere where students really get to interact with each other, work with each other, and really create this community that extends far after their 2 years of studies on the Berkeley campus.
Yeah, true. Now, Sharon, a lot of time we talk about fit, and fit is often a vague and intangible concept. But I wonder if you might be able to tell us, what kind of candidate is a great fit for Berkeley Haas?
I think a student who's going to be a great fit for Berkeley is going to be a student who obviously can do the academic work, right? I mean, you can look at the school stats online and see it's a competitive school to get into. But I think that particularly if you read through the application and you see the types of questions that Berkeley asks, they're not only interested in how well you will do academically in the program, but also socially and emotionally, how are you going to contribute to the program as well? They're looking for students who've been very impactful in what they do, obviously people who have had leadership roles, but they're also looking for students who have grace, who have humility, those who know when to step forward, but also know when to step back. And I think that I was always impressed with, you know, the students were so bright and they're so smart, but they're also so modest about their accomplishments as well. So I think that's something about the fit in terms of just the personality of the students there. You would never find students with sharp elbows, as you will. I think students are all there to support each other, to learn alongside each other, but also to go out and do really great, bodacious, important things in the world. I think that the students at Haas also have a high degree of social consciousness. And I think that that's something that's just kind of endemic to being at Berkeley anyway. But I would say that those are some of the factors I think that would help you determine whether or not Berkeley would be a fit for you as well.
And beyond the strong academics and the test scores, which are high, how does an applicant truly stand out?
Definitely through the essays. And you'll hear this probably from other schools as well. Like, it's really important to be authentic. Haas has questions like, what makes you feel alive when doing it and why? please don't write something that you think is going to appeal to an admissions committee specifically to get in. They really want to hear something that's truthful. I had a client once who was really struggling with how to answer that because something that made her feel alive was baking bread. And she thought, well, that just seems silly though. Why would they want to hear about that? This is a business school. We ended up crafting and working on this really beautiful piece that not only just talked about the baking bread, but really sort of this intellectual process that she had and kind of the growth that she would have in failure when recipes didn't work and things like that. So I think in terms of being able to stand out in your essays in a voice that will resonate with an admissions committee is really important on some of those introspective pieces. I also think, though, it's really important to show that you have a logical plan. Haas is also very similar with other schools in terms of tell us about your short-term goals and your long-term goals. You need to present something that is doable, something that is digestible, and something that can be accomplished if you were to attend Haas. So making sure, obviously, too, that you've done some research on the program, you know what the school offers, and you know how you would leverage that to be a successful graduate and a proud alumnus of that program.
Now, you mentioned the defining leadership principles at Haas that were put in place by the former dean, Rich Lyons. How evident should you make them in your essays? I mean, I guess you don't want to be heavy-handed, but at the same time, I think you probably want to demonstrate some alignment with those values, right?
They have added a video question that asks you very specifically to talk about which one of the 4 defining leadership principles resonates with you the most and why. It is not a trick question. One isn't considered stronger than the other, but it is a way to really showcase that you have thought about these different tenets of the program and how have you had an opportunity to exemplify them. And so really giving a critical time where you demonstrated one of them, being specific as you can in a 1 to 2 minute video. But then also, I think at the end of the video, again, wrapping up with why that resonates with you specifically and why Haas is the place that you're looking for, not just because of that one particular defining leadership principle, but really how all 4 of them come together.
Right. Now, everyone has oftentimes makes a little mistake here or there. What are some common pitfalls to avoid at Berkeley, Haas?
Oh, gosh. I think that probably one of the biggest stumbling blocks I would see is that you could tell that an applicant had put so much time, energy, effort into making sure their resume was spot on, that their essays could hold up and really answered the prompts well, that they had done the requisite things in terms of making sure they were well-rounded, right? So good outside activities other than work, but then letters of recommendation would fall flat. You need to think about also managing your letter writers. And what I often will encourage my clients to do, Haas does ask for 2 letters of recommendation. So how can we be sure that we're showing 2 sides of your coin, if you will? I mean, obviously, we want your letters of recommendation to call out your intellectual readiness to do well in this top flight MBA program at Berkeley Haas. But at the same time, emotional intelligence is really important too. And so making sure that your second letter writer not only echoes the fact that you're academically prepared and you have the intellectual skills to do well, quantitative skills, analytical abilities, but that also you are emotionally intelligent. You are going to be someone who's welcoming of others' perspectives. You are someone who can read a room. You are someone who kind of understands the energy that you interject into groups. And so I think that just making sure that you're showing 2 sides of your coin, if you will, is really important. Sometimes it would be such a bummer. I'd be reading this amazing application and then their letters would fall flat, or the letters were just an echo chamber where one was saying the exact same thing as the other. So I think it's really important that you think about your letter writers and how strategically you want them to play up different things so that you do appeal to a competitive admissions committee.
How do you guide them to write the best letter recommendation you can get? Do you do that in like an email, a letter? Do you do that in person? How heavy-handed should you be?
So we always want our clients to be able to uphold integrity in their letters of recommendation. We do not want them to read their own letters of recommendation. One thing that I do think distinguishes Fortuna from other admissions coaching companies is that we have a curriculum. So we have some pieces that we're building on when we are working one-on-one with our clients. We have something that really gets at their leadership skills. We also have something that helps them think about their career visioning. I also use something called Clifton Strengths in my coaching practice. So we're moving together through a process. And with letters of recommendation, we have a template that we work through where we want you, the client, to think about what are some key examples where you can really remind your letter writers of, like, don't you remember that time where I saved the day on this project? Or do you remember the time when I analyzed these documents and I found this big accounting error? And so making sure that you are refreshing your letter writers' memories. And so we help them prepare a briefing that they can then send off to their letter writers. We are not asking them, and be very clear about this, to write their own letters of recommendation, but really to give some bullet points, some reminders, so that when the letter writers go to start crafting these letters on your behalf, they have some reference points to call back upon to make sure that not only are they saying accolades about you, but no one wants what I call the flowery adjective syndrome letter of recommendation, where there's lots of really nice words, but there's no substance. And so making sure that you're not only helping to guide maybe some of the words that they use, but obviously providing some substance that they can refer back to.
Yeah, this is where detail is helpful and vagueness is not, right?
Correct, 100%.
So, your best piece of advice for someone applying to Haas, and how do you really help applicants maximize their chances of success?
So in terms of my best piece of advice, I think it's important to show that you have done your research. Just kind of a cursory website search and kind of pulling out some of their same language is not useful to show that you've done the research and you've really thought about why Haas would be a good fit for you. So taking the opportunity to go to some of the different coffee chats, there's lots of MBA fairs coming up. There's certainly different ways to connect with student ambassadors. Their profiles are online. So take the time to make sure that you get to know the program so that when you are writing your essays too, you can refer back to maybe little snippets of a conversation that you had that really sparked your interest even more so in attending the program. So I think it's really important to differentiate the fact that you've shown a demonstrated interest in this program. And certainly if you can visit in person, that's always helpful too. There are opportunities to go to class visits, have lunch with student ambassadors, and really get a sense of the community. And in terms of how does a Fortuna coach help you? So many ways. I mean, I'd like to think that we are your accountability coach. We are definitely a thought partner. We are definitely our clients' biggest cheerleaders. And one thing though, I mean, I know you so kindly mentioned my experience at the beginning of this introduction. All of us who work at Fortuna have many, many years of experience, but none of us are arrogant about our abilities. And one thing I love about being part of Fortuna is that we also have our own little hive. So if any of us have questions about, gosh, I'm thinking about this angle with a client, what do you all think? There are other coaches who chime in as well, just to be sure that we are giving the best advice to our clients to be sure that they are successful. In terms of working with my clients, I tend to be very structured. They get a week by week schedule, knowing that many of them are busy, right? They're all working, they're applying to multiple programs. So I think just making sure that we have a plan moving forward together, because then it makes it less stressful too, because they know kind of what their weekly homework assignment is. So I think having a coach who can help you with that, with kind of the logistics, and then also some of the higher level things of having a thought partner who has seen these essay prompts, who has, really thought about what is the drive behind that essay prompt? What is the school actually really looking for? And now that I know your story, because we've worked through our curriculum together, I think you should really think about writing about X, Y, and Z instead of A, B, C. And so making sure too that sometimes when clients start writing, especially if they are writing on their own, sometimes they can go down completely the wrong rabbit hole, if you will. So making sure too that they're on the right track in terms of thinking about what is going to resonate with that person on the other side of the screen who's reading me.
Indeed. Well, Sharon, thank you so much. Now, if someone would like to get in touch with you and find out more, how do they do that?
Sure, feel free to ping us at info@fortunaadmissions.com.
Terrific. Well, there you have it. How to get into Berkeley Haas. Sounds easy, doesn't it? Sharon Joyce certainly makes it so. Just to remind you, she had been Associate Director of Admissions at Berkeley Haas. She has over 30 years of admissions experience. And pertinent to Poets and Quants, she has more than 75-star reviews from clients. Check her out. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching.